Yeah, once again, very good evening, guys. So today we are going to discuss new topic, MySql. So in previous sessions, as of now, we have discussed some basics concepts. But today onwards, we are going to deal with some advanced level concepts. So for example, let me give an example. So in the previous sessions, so we have deal with like this. So we are using the database and we are executing the query. And the query will eventually it will return some results based on our requirements. So but what if we want to reuse this SQL command in a later time? For example, I want to use the same statement in certain situations. So how to do that? So in order to do that, in SQL there is a one way that is called a store procedure. So stored procedures. So basically, a storage procedure is a set of declarative SQL statements stored within the MySQL server. So that means, so storage procedures, it contain a group of statements or a group of SQL statements, or it contains single statement. It doesn't matter. So it's based on the requirement. So it stores the store procedure in the MySQL server for we can use later whenever we want to use. So as well as so the storage procedures can have parameters, that means arguments. So for example, if you want to find some results based on some conditions, so in those cases we need to pass some values. So that those things are called parameters. So it so allowing to pass values to it and retrieve results. So based on the parameters, it will execute the storage procedure and it will give the results based on the parameter. So for example, so you can define a storage procedure that reason customers by country and city. So for example, if you want to if you want the details based on customer and city, so these are the parameters that we need to pass to storage procedure. So, if you see the advantages of a storage procedure, it will reduce network traffic. So that means whenever two applications interact with two MySQLs, so rather than giving the large SQL statements to the SQL servers, we can directly give the storage procedure name and parameters. So see that. So storage procedures helps reduce the network traffic between applications and MySQL servers. So instead of sending multiple lengthy SQL statements, applications only need to send the name and parameter of the storage procedure. So the application only need to give the SQL statement. It can only give the storage procedure name and along with the parameters. So the another one is, so we can use the storage procedure for reusable business logics. So for example, if you are developing on applications, so in those applications, we can use some procedures or reusable procedures again and again. So in those cases, we don't have to write again and again. Once we define the storage procedures, we can use at whatever, how many times you want. And so it can reduce also duplicate the same result. So disadvantage. So every topic has an advantage and as well as a disadvantage. So one of the major disadvantage is resource usage. So if you create multiple storage procedures, so it can lead to more memory usage and it can lead to CPU usage. So that is the disadvantages of using storage procedures. Under troubleshooting. So in MySQL workbench, it is a very hard to debug the storage procedures because in MySQL it doesn't support some features like if you want to debug the statements, we need to breakpoint now. So in MySQL it doesn't support, but in other databases like Oracle databases and SQL servers, it has some tools to debug storage procedures. And so if you want to create a storage procedures in SQL, so this is the basic syntax for creating storage procedures. So using create procedures, we can create a newly stored procedures. So create procedure. So after that, we need to give the name of the procedure name and parameters. It is a optional. And we need to give the begin and end. So inside the begin, we can write our SQL statements. So inside begin, we can write to multiple SQL statements, not only once. So, but if you see in previous examples, so if you want in previous sessions, so if you want to execute multiple statements, we are separating those statements using comma. So this comma is nothing but a delimiters. So delimiters are used to separate multiple lines. So, but as I discussed earlier, storage stored procedures contain multiple statements. It execute at a once. So if you execute storage procedures, it will throw an error because when in storage procedure we have a group of statements. So we have a group of statements, or whenever you execute it, MySQL server treat as a single statement, not a group of statements. So in order to overcome those issues, we need to use delimiter. So as I said earlier, delimiters are nothing but it separate the two statements. So in SQL delimiters, so two types of delimiters. One is forward slash and this is dollar symbols. You can use either you want. So first we need to temporarily change the default delimiter so that you can pass the entire storage procedure to the server as a single statement. So if you didn't use this delimiter, it will throw an error and SQL Server treat as a single statement. So in order to treat this multiple statement, we need to use a delimiter. So for temporary, we need to change from default delimiter to this kind of delimiters, either dollar or forward slash. So in SQL, comma is the default delimiter. So we need to change the first default delimiter to this delimiter, and then we can proceed using the create procedure, and we need to give the procedure name, storage procedure name, and we need to give the begin and end. So inside begin, so we have to write our SQL statements, multiple statements with whatever delimiter like. So you can use here delimiter this one also, or either this one also. Excellent. So and finally end here we need to end. Here we need to change the delimiter, temporary delimiter, and finally we need to retrieve the default delimiter back. So further we need to use the delimiter. The default delimiter is the semicolons. So this is the process. So if you, after creating this process, if you execute this story procedure, MySQL treat as it is a single statement. So that is delimiters are very important in order to work with the storage procedures. So see, so it is necessary to temporarily redefine the delimiters so that you can pass the entire storage procedures to a server. So inside begin, there might be multiple statements. So these statements, after changing the delimiter, it can treat MySQL server treat that it is a single statement. So to redefine the default delimiter, you use the delimiter command as follows. So this is the syntax for using the delimiters. Delimiter character. So either this one or this one. So now we are going to see one example. So for example, here I have a lot of tables inside the classic model database. So for example, let's consider from the product. So I want to retrieve the product details by using the storage procedures. For that, obviously, we need to use the first database. So then only it will work. First, use our database is classic models. So then we need to use delimiters. So delimiter. So we are changing the default delimiter to temporarily. So that's why we need to use delimiter and delimiter character. And then we need to, from here onwards, we need to create procedure. For that, create procedure. Our procedure name like get all products. So this is our procedure name. So then we need to begin. Then inside the begin, we need to write the queries. So our requirement is select start from products. Products, and we need to end the temporary delimiter. Then finally, we need to revert back to the default delimiter. Default delimiter. For default delimiter is comma. So once everything is perfect, you can execute this. So our created storage procedure has been created. You can find this by refreshing. So by refreshing, so instead of storage procedure nodes, you can find all procedures. So, okay, now, excuse me, Payal. So, okay, now we have successfully created a storage procedure. Then how we need to use that? So we need, for using storage procedure, we need to use one keyword that is call. So this call keyword is used to call the storage procedure. So call, so call, and then we need to give our procedure name. So our procedure name is get all products. So once you execute this procedure, it will give all the results. So if you forget to mention parentheses, then also it will give the results. So it will give the result. So now we have successfully created a storage procedure, and we have called that storage procedure also. So now you can use these storage procedures wherever you want in your applications. So that is the storage procedure. For example, so parameters. So as I said, parameters are nothing but arguments. So it is very useful whenever the user if you want to filter the results, in those cases, these parameters are very useful. So we can define parameters in the storage procedures in three modes. One is in, another one is out, and the final one is in out. So the in parameter. So basically, for example, if you want to, so here we have retrieved the product details. So now I want to retrieve the product details based on the product code. So product code. In those cases, I need to pass this product code as a parameter to this get all product procedure. So in those cases, we need to use this in parameter. So in is a keyword. So in is the default mode. When defining an in parameter in a storage procedure, the calling program. Yes.
Sir, please give me a real life example of this so that we can correlate of this because I am not able to get in there.
Sorry. Can you repeat again?
Please give me a real life example of this. So
This storage procedures.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, sir.
Yeah, it is simple. For example, in the previous sessions,
Real life example of the delimiter.
actually this delimiter is it is used to, for example, we are sending this storage procedure to MySQL servers. So if you omit this delimiter, if you pass this procedure to MySQL servers, then MySQL server it will treat it is a single statement. If it is contain multiple statement, it doesn't care. It only treats single statement. So to tell the MySQL server, so execute this entire storage procedure as a single statement. For that, we have to use delimiter. So here, this delimiter. So delimiters are nothing but it is used to separate the SQL statements. So in MySQL, so default delimiter is comma. So we are temporarily changing the delimiter. So default delimiter, temporarily changing the default delimiter. So this is the character, delimiter character. So this one or another delimiter is, yeah, this dollar symbol. You can choose whatever you want. So once you temporarily change this delimiter, then we can create a procedure and we need to end that to temporary delimiter. So, and finally, we need to retrieve back the default delimiter. So this is the default to delimiter. So after creating this process, if you send this entire procedure to a MySQL server, then MySQL server will treat it is a single statement, not a multiple statement, because we given at the end of this a comma. Okay, got it?
No, sir, I am not able to correlate anything like this type of data and retrieving or this.
Can you repeat again? I think your voice is very low.
Sir, I'm not able to correlate it with the real life example of any product. Like if I store any data of any product for this, so how should it work? How it is
So,
working?
for example, let's consider you are developing one login page. So the
Yes, yes,
login page has been developed by the developers. So
yes, sir.
in a login page, we have two fields. One is email and another one is password in order to log in.
Yes,
So
sir.
every time for after clicking that login, so then we need to check whether these details are presented inside the database or not. So for that we need to write query.
Okay.
We need to write queries. So for in order to get rid of those issues, we can directly call the storage procedure and then you can simply pass your email and password. You don't have to write SQL statement manually again and again. You
Yes,
just
yes.
have to pass the storage procedure name and parameters. If you pass these parameters, then this storage procedure will execute and it will give the results. So
It
fine,
will automatically check
yeah,
about
it
that.
automatically check. You don't have to call
Yes, yes,
manual.
yes,
If
yes.
you give only, you need to give only this storage procedure name, just like function.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, in parameter. So here, if you want to get the product details based on the product code, so in those cases, I need to give the product code as a parameter to this get all product. So for that, we need to use in parameter. So in parameter. So the syntax for defining parameters in storage procedure is like this. One of the three modes, and we need to define parameter name to store the value while calling the storage procedure. So for example, here we are calling the get all products procedure. So here, if here, for example, this get all procedure has one parameters. Let's consider product code. So if you send the product code, so that code need to be stored inside that variable. So that the variables are nothing but parameter name and the data type. So the data type must have to match here and here. The data type should match. Then only it will. Otherwise, it will throw an error. So on the data type, and you can give the length whatever you want. So the default length is 255. So whatever length you can give. So here I'm going to do one more example. So we have created story procedures. So now I want to alter this story procedures. So based on our requirement. So now I want to get the product details based on the product code. So for that here I need to give the parameters. So we are giving the parameters. So it is storage procedure taking. So for that it is a in our parameter name like show product code. So data type. So it is a varchar and we need to give the size. So given the size. So here I am selecting select star from so condition where product code is equal to this product code. We need to give this parameter as a condition. Product code. So if you execute this, it will throw an error. So because the storage procedure have already existed, so we need to alter the two procedures. So for that, you can right click, and here is the option alter storage procedure. You can click. So here you can define, you can give the parameter name in product code varchar. So our condition is where product code is equal to product code. So then we need to click the apply. So it will open the confirmations. So you can see the comments. So the MySQL service automatically use these commands. So it automatically use database, default database. Also, we are using classic model database. It will automatically take that. And here our changes. You can check whether our changes is correct or not. So once everything fine, you can click apply until the apply has been successful. When finished, now you can call that storage procedure. So if you call the storage procedure without giving parameter, it will throw an error. So incorrect number of arguments. So we have modified. So we have updated the procedure with the argument. So for that we need to give the argument. So our product code is, our product code is a varchar. So that's why we need to give within the quotation. So if you execute it, then it will give the results. Code 168. It all products. Code insert name from this where product code. Yeah. So basically in SQL, it is a case insensitive now. So in previous we gave like this. So here the product code, and over here we gave the product code also like this. Product code. So that's why it give all the results, because as you already know, SQL is a case insensitive. So that's why in the previous it gives all the results. So it is giving the based on the product code. So based on the product code, it is giving everything. So this is the end parameter. Uh, so not only you can give number of parameter also. For example, let's consider. So the another one is out parameter. So as of now, we have given the in parameter for story procedure based on our requirement. But what if we give some conditions? Uh, but what if the story procedures send? If you want to get some results from the story procedure based on your conditions. So for example, let's consider. Let's orders. So in orders, so we have a three type of modes. One is in progress, shipped, delivery. So in our database, it contain lot of data, and some products already delivered, or some products are in progress. So if you want to find how many products are still in progress and how many products are has been shipped. So in those cases, we need to pass our order status, and based on our order status, the story procedure will give the results. So that is the out parameters. So it is used to return values from the story procedure. If you want to get some result from the story procedure, in those cases, we need to give the out parameters. So we need to define, so same pattern applicable for out parameters also. So parameter name and data type and length. So take the same example. You can go another example like from others. Yeah. Yeah. So see, in the databases, we have status called shipped, and as well as we have cancelled, and one more is in progress. So now I need to find how many orders are in progress. So in those cases, we can use out parameters. So I'm going to define in the story procedure in another way. So in previous, we have defined story procedures manually. So if you want to create story procedures, you need to right click the story procedure node and create story procedure. So here you need to give your story procedure name. So my story procedure name like mm, so get order count by status. So that story procedure name should be meaningful. So then only you will get some idea. So by seeing this story procedure name, yeah, I can get some idea. Oh, this story procedure will give the count based on the status. So and then we need to give the parameters. So first, while calling the story procedure, we need to give some either in progress, shipped or cancelled. So these are the three modes. Further, it is taking in. So in, so let's say order status. So this is the varchar data type. So another one is, so after based on this condition, the story procedure will execute the command and it will return some values. So for returning some values, we need to use the out parameter. Out, so same like we need to give the parameter name as a or total. The data type is we're counting. So we need to give the data type as a int. So done. So then you can define your requirement inside the begin and end. Let's suppose select, we are counting. So count. So we are counting the, so we are counting the either in status cancel. So based on the order number. Select order number. So then, so it will count. So after counting, that value should be stored in somewhere. So that temporary variable is total. So after counting how many records in database, we need to store in somewhere. So if you so for storing, we need to use one inbuilt keyword that is into. So into we need to give which parameter variable we need to store. So here we need to give, we are going to store this total count into this total parameter name. So total. So from order table, orders. So our condition is, so status is equal to, we need to pass this order status here. So order status. Once it's done, you can apply and it will give the confirmation. You can check and apply. The procedure has been created. You can see this. So this is the another way. There are two ways. You can write manually or you can use inbuilt systems. So get order count by status. So I need to call them. So if you call this to that story procedure, call get order count by status. So here we need to pass our requirement. So now I am going to, my requirement is I need to see how many orders has been shipped. I need to find the count. So for that, I need to pass my requirement is shipped. Shipped. So once it's done, so this uh, so after executing this statement, it will store the results in total. So we need to get that to results. For that, we need to use at the rate of symbol. It is used to capture the values, and we can give the value whatever you want, and that's it. If you execute, has been executed, but so successfully the procedure has been executed and the value has been stored inside this total variable. So if you want to see this, we need to select the parameter variable manually. Select at the rate of total. Sorry guys. So now you can see there are 303 records founded. So that means 303 record has been shipped. So in the same way, if you want to find in process, you can give the results in process. So there are 6 records. So if you want to find in process in the same way, you can find orders. So cancelled. So there are 6 records founded. So 6 order has been cancelled. So that is the use of the out parameter. So that is the use of the out parameter. So it simply returns values from the storage procedure. So in-out, another parameter is in-out parameter. So it is used for both passing values in and returning modified values. For example, I will give you one example. Uh, for example, let's consider we have two variables. So if you want to change that variable, if you want to swipe two numbers, so that let's consider A value is 10, B value is 20. So if you want to swipe, the value of A became 20, the value of B became 10. So that means in those cases we need to use in-out parameter. So it modified the original values while calling the parameter. While calling the storage procedures, definitely we need to pass values so that after passing those values, the storage procedure will execute. So the inside storage procedures based on the conditions, it will affect the results on the original value also. So I will give you one example in out. Let's consider. Mhm. So I'm going to give my procedure name is a swipe. Swipe variables. So here we need to give the result. We need to measure parameter mode in out. So first value. So data type is int. In the same manner, in out. Second value int. So here we need to mention. Here we need to write our logic. So for swiping values, using temporary variables, we can swipe. So here we need to declare variables. So in story procedures, if you want to declare variables, you have to use declare variable, a declare keyword. So declare, and then we need to give the variable name. So our variable name like temp. So this data type int. So now I have declared the variable temp. So now I need to store the first value inside the temp. So for storing the value inside the temp, we need to use one more keyword, that is set. So set, it is setting value to this temp variable. Temp. So our values, we are going to store this first value. First value. So in the same manner, we need to set first value, second value. Second value, temp. So here we are swapping the two values. First, we have stored this first value in a temp variable. Now the first value became 0, empty. So in first value, we are storing second value. So now the second value became empty. So in the second variable, we are setting the temp variable. So that means in the second value, we have a first value. In the first value, we have a second value. There were error while applying a skill script to declare temp. Who is available? Not declare. So this now. Mhm. So now the procedure has been created. So now we can call. So in order to call, our procedure name is so swipe variable. Call swipe variables. Here you can pass the values. So if you execute, will give.
भेजिए हमको
Okay. Yeah, guys. So finally, the values has been swiped. So in our logic, so here we passed the two values while calling the storage procedure. That means our storage procedure name is swipe variables. So we have passed those variables and the values has been stored inside these parameter names. So inside begin, we are right here, we have done our logic. So first we have created one temporary variable for storing first value. So here I mentioned the default value is a 0. First I mentioned default value as a 0. So now I am setting temp value. So now I am setting, that means I am storing inside the temp variable, the value is first value. So again, I am setting the first value, second value, and finally I am setting the second value. That means inside second temp variable, I am storing the temp, which is nothing but first value. So while calling, first we need to define, while calling the storage procedures using parameters like go in out. So first we need to declare two variables. So two variables. So I have declared and I have declared and I have automatically assigned value. That means first value, and I have assigned the second value. So now while calling swipe variables functions, I passed these two variable names as an argument, and the swipe procedure will execute, and after executing, it will changing the original values. So it is changing the original values. So that means it is giving the values. Finally it is returning some values. So that values are stored in this first value and second value. So that means this values has been modified. So after running storage procedures, finally we have called these variables checking purpose whether the values has been swiped or not. So the value is 20, the second value is 40. So after calling the storage procedure, the values has been changed. So from 20 to 40, so from 40 to 20. So in this situation, so we can use this in out. So if you want to change, if you want to modify the passing values, in those cases, we need to use in out. So this in is a in. We are giving some parameter to the storage procedure based on condition it will give. But this out. So if you want to get some results without affecting original values, in those cases we can use this out. So if you want to change, if you want to modify your values while calling the storage procedures, in those cases you can use this in out parameter. So these the parameters, and then so for example, so listing storage procedure. So in our databases, we might have a lot of storage procedures. If you want to see how all storage procedures, you can use command. The syntax is show procedure status. So procedure status, it is the statement, it will retrieve the all storage procedures in the current database. So for example, I want to find, so I want to retrieve all storage procedures inside this classic model databases. So for that, we can use this symbol. Sorry guys, this is statement. The statement is, so procedure status. So we need to give, if we execute, it give all the procedure inside this. So because this is the systems, these are the some default system procedures. So we have created three procedures: get all products, get order, count by status, and swipe variables. And what type of this? So it is a procedure, not so where defined local host or server, and modify date, created date. So if you want to find, so for example, if you want to find in particular database, so this is the current database. So if you execute this statement, it will return all the procedures in the current database. So for example, no, I don't want to see all the procedures from these PCS databases. So in this case, you can give the filter conditions. Our condition is where. So DB, it's an inbuilt keyword DB. That means database, and we need to give the database name PCS. So if we execute, it will return nothing because in PCS database we don't have any storage processor. That's why it is returning 0. So in the same way, you can give the our database name also classic models. If you execute, it will give only storage procedures which are in the storage procedure node. But in previous, it has given more details also regarding the storage procedure. So see, it given more records. More records. So if you don't wish to see that, you can simply use where db is equal to our database classic models. Then you can execute, then it will give the only existing storage procedures inside stored procedure nodes. So for example, no, I want to see in a certain pattern. So like our pattern is, so I want to get the storage procedure names which contain, let's say yes. So I want to see the storage procedure names. Which storage procedure starting letter is yes. So in those cases, you can use a Java. It should be like classic models. So here we need to give the pattern. So in SQL, if you want to find some records based on patterns, we need to use one keyword that is like. So like it is inbuilt keyword. So this keyword is used to retrieve the details based on pattern. So for defining pattern, we need to follow some rules. So my requirement is I need to find the storage procedure. So that which storage procedure starting letter is S. So my starting letter is S means, so I need to give the pattern in single quotation. So I need to give my starting letter is S, and I need to give this percentage symbol. If you execute, go capital S. I need to get rid of this one. See, so if you see the output, it returns only the storage procedure which contains starting letter as S. So no, I don't want to find. So if you want to find the ending letter as a S, this is we need to first give the percentage. Then we need to give the pattern. If you execute, so that means all procedure ends with S. So if you is the starting and ending. So for example, if you want to find pattern, it doesn't mean whether it is a starting. Sorry guys, I got some network issue. Guys, am I audible?
Yes,
Hello,
sir, you're
yes,
audible.
yeah.
Yes,
So where yeah. So I know I don't want to find the storage procedure whether it is starting with the S or ends with the S. So my requirement is whether the storage procedure contain my word. That means, for example, I want to find all. My pattern is find all. So my pattern is all. So I need to find the storage procedure names which contain the all. Whether it doesn't matter whether it is starting or ending, but the all should be in the storage procedure. So we need to give all, and then we need to close the percentage symbol. If you execute this, then it will give the only, because this storage procedure only contain all keyword. So that's why it is giving the this storage procedure only. So that is the use of this show procedure status. If you want to see the procedures, and then so the next one is MySql if statement. Like every programming languages in SQL, it support if conditions. So the if statement allows you to evaluate one or more conditions and execute the corresponding code block if the condition is true. So that means based on the conditions, it will execute. If the condition is true, then only it will execute. So it has a three statement. One is if then. That means if the here we need to mention our if evaluation conditions. Once the evaluation condition is true, then the result will execute. So this statement, this is if the evaluation conditions became false, then else block will execute. In the same manner, if you want to check multiple conditions, then we need to use this if then else if condition. So we are going to see with an example. So our example is which one is better table? Which table is better? So let's take customer. So in our customer table, we have a lot of, yeah, okay, fine. So let's consider. So in the customer table, I have a credit limit. So in the real world scenario, so based on the credit limit, some customer levels are there, like platinum, gold, silver. So based on the credit limit. So now my requirement is I want to check based on the credit limit. I need to return some message like gold, platinum, silver. So further we can create a storage procedure in faster manner. So create procedure. So always we are giving some input parameter. So that's why we have to define here some parameters. So one is int. So for example, custom number should be is a int data type, and the other one is out. So the procedure will return some values. So for that we need to use out and cust level. So this is a varchar. I'm giving 20 as a size. So our procedure name is, so get customer, let's assume get customer level. So we need to, here we need to write our logic. So first here, so based on the customer number, we need to get the credit limit. So for that, we need one variable to store that credit to limit. So for that, we need to declare one variable. So that is declare. So our variable name is credit. There's so data type is a decimal, I think. Yeah, decimal. I'm giving size as a total, and the decimal point is 2. So I am assigning default value. Default value is 0. So now I am going to retrieve the credit limit data. So select credit, credit limit, credit limit. So after selecting credit limit, I need to store inside this credit because I need to check whether that credit limit has some certain range. So based on the range, I'm going to give some message like a custom level, like platinum, silver, gold. So for that, we need to store this credit limit into this credit variable. So always we need to use int, then we need to give the name, variable name, credit, from which table, from customers. Our condition is where, where, so based on the customer number. Customer number is equal to, so when we pass the customer number, that customer number will store inside this parameter. So our parameter name is cust number. What is the queue? Now here, so finally we have get the credit limits and we have stored inside this, so inside credit variable based on the customer number. Now I need to check like if, so if credit, that means here our condition credit, like let's suppose let's 75,000. So let's 75 suppose it. So here it is checking if the credit score is greater than 75,000, then I need to execute something like I need to give, if the credit limit is more than 75,000, then I need to set that customer level as a platinum. So we need to set that message to this cust level variable. So set cust level. So I need to platinum. So finally we need to end the if condition. For that we need to use end if. Yeah, that's it. If everything is perfect to get customer level. Yeah, okay. Now we have created the procedure customer. So I'm going to call the customer. So I'm going to give values. Let's assume we have a lot of, so call get customer level. So I need to pass customer number. My customer, let's assume 141. And we're getting level. So level. See, so we didn't get any error. So that means this story procedure successfully executed and it has written some values and the result has been stored inside this level variable. Now I need to see that. So select level. You see, so platinum. So that means the customer 141. Customer. So this customer number 141 has a credit limit to 2,27,000. So that means our this condition has satisfied. So that's why it is our condition has been true. So that's why it is setting the custom level as a platinum. So in the same manner, if the condition is not satisfied, in those cases, we need to retrieve some message. So for that, we need to use some small keyword else. And we need to set the message. Same like set cust level is equal to, let's assume not a platinum. So story procedure has been updated. So if you pass ID is 11, so not a platinum. So that means 11. So we don't have a 11. So that is it is a rating. So 103. Let me give 103. So not a platinum. So that means 103 has a credit limit is 71,000, but our requirement is 75,000. So that's why it is setting result as a not a platinum. So that is the else block. So in the same manner, if you want to check multiple conditions, you can use here else if else condition. Like else if our condition is, so if the credit limit is, the credit is greater than 25,000 and credit so less than 50,000. So in those cases, I need to set cust level as a gold. Apply and click the change has been changed. Now we can check. So you can give this same ID. So not a platinum. So let me check. So 25,000. So what is 25? We don't have. Yeah, this one 48,700. So 233. So if you pass 233 ID number, then it will give the result gold. So that means our condition has been satisfied. So the credit limit is between 25,000 and 50,000. So that's why it is giving level as a gold. So that is the use of the if condition. So in the same manner, case. So the difference between if and case is, so if the case is a more readable than compared with the if statement. So this is the basic syntax. So we need to use the case and your case value, and we need to checking the each value. So when the case value satisfied, then the results in the same manner we can check multiple. So finally, just like end if the case statement has end case, we need to end the case. So we are going to see that also with a simple example. So now can the customers, yeah. So customers, so take the same table, customers. So my requirement is, so based on the countries, my order, my shipping value will be updated. So if the country is USA, then I can ship the delivery within 1 or 2 days. If the country is France, then it may take more times. So we can use this create procedure. So get customer shipping. So here we need to obviously we need to give the in parameter. So parameter is cust number into data type, and the another one is out. So cust shipping varchar 20. So obviously, so based on the customer number, we are getting the country. So after getting the country, we need to store in temporary variable in order to check with the case statement. For that, we need to declare one variable. So declare cust country. That it should be varchar data type, and we need to give the size as 20. And here we need to write our query. Select country. Country, we need to store the two country into first country in order to check from customers table. Customers tables. So where customer number is equal to cust number. So we have successfully executed this command. So this statement will give the results based on the customer ID. It will give the country, and that country has been stored inside this cust country temp variable. Now we are checking with the case statement. So we need to use the case keyword. Then we need to give our condition. Our condition is cust country. Cust country. So ikkada when, that means, so when our cust country is USA, then I need to set result as set to cust shipping. So 3 days. 3 days to delivery. So in the same manner, when France, then set cost to shipping. So 5 days. 5 days to delivery. So finally, so if our case statement doesn't match these conditions, then we need to display some message. Like, else block. So it will give result set custom shipping. Shipping more than 1 week. 1 week. So that's it, and we need to end the case. End case, and we can give the play, and the story procedure has been created. Now we can call. Our story procedure is get customer shipping. Yeah. So call get customer shipping. Here we need to pass our first parameter is our customer number. Our customer number is 112. Let's assume. So we are getting some result. So that result should be stored inside this variable. So shipping. So if you execute it successfully, if you want to see the result, select the rate of shipping. So it is 3 days to delivery. So that means 112. So 112. So 112. Country name is USA. So our USA. So it will check USA, then it is 3 days to delivery. So that is the ease of the case. And finally, so if you want to drop the storage procedure, you can right click and you can drop storage procedure. It will pop up window. So it will give two options, review or drop. You can review the SQL statement. So drop procedure. This is the command to dropping the procedure. Drop procedure. Here we need to mention the procedure name. Then we can execute. The procedure has been removed from this database. Yeah, that's it, guys. That's it for today.